Cameron. I spent years building my career and creating a life I loved. And when my Prince Charming finally showed up, he had 4 kids in tow. Fast forward through lots of mistakes made and lessons learned, step family life was much more complicated than I realized. If you're looking for help with blended family life, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Stepmom Diaries, where we keep it real as we dish about all the things. This is your weekly dose of blended family inspiration and encouragement. You're not the wicked stepmother, so let me help you find your fairy tale ending. Come on, let's do this. Welcome to the very first episode of the Stepmom Diaries, brought to you by thiscustomlife.com. I'm so excited to be here and to talk with you about all the things. We have some amazing episodes coming up, and I cannot wait to share them all with you. Let me start by telling you just a little bit about me. If you hadn't guessed by the name of the podcast, I'm a stepmom. But before I met my husband, I spent years building up a successful career in Washington, D.C. I was super involved in my community and generally had a great life. I am an only child, and I had lived alone for about 10 years. But I spent lots of time with my friends, gossiping, traveling, celebrating milestones together. When Craig came along, he was truly unexpected. And it sounds a little corny, but he completed my life. I felt, and I still feel, so lucky to have met such a great man. A man who happened to come with 4 kids, one with special needs. And I will say that was a real shock to the system. I love all the kids dearly, I really do. But it has not been the smoothest path, to say the least. I have dealt with high conflict stuff, kids who don't like me sometimes, communication issues, confidence, boundaries, you name it. And along the way, as I started to figure things out, I decided I wanted to help other stepmoms, women who might feel alone like I did, who might not know where to turn or how to get on track. So I founded thiscustomlife.com, where I have helped thousands of stepmoms get a handle on their very important role. If you haven't yet, head on over and check it out. I've got lots of stepmom resources over there. I know you know that stepmomming is hard and complicated and really hard for other people to understand. So I'm here to help you navigate all your stepmom challenges. I named this podcast the Stepmom Diaries because I think of it as a place where we can dish, where I can talk to you one-on-one about all the stepmom things. The Stepmom Diaries is about getting real on the stepmom journey. We're going to talk about all the things that we might have a hard time saying out loud to anyone else. Things like, what if I don't love my stepchild? How could my husband ever have been married to her? Why therapy is your friend, your best friend sometimes. How to get on the same page as your husband. How to improve your relationship. How to bond with your stepkids. How to take care of yourself. Heck, how to take time for yourself. Lots and lots of other topics, along with some amazing guests who I cannot wait for you to meet. I see you, stepmom. You are not alone on this journey. So let's do this together. Today, I want to talk a little bit about stepmom emotions and taking care of yourself. Because let's be honest, no one really ever gets into stepmomming and is like, yeah, I got this. I am super stepmom. I can totally handle everything. How often do you feel lost? Like, what the heck have I gotten myself into? That feeling is totally normal. I know I said it a couple of minutes ago, but it really does bear repeating. This stuff is hard. It's really hard. And I'll be honest, I probably seemed pretty confident on the outside when I took this role on, but on the inside, panic city. I had no clue what I was doing. No clue. And I've learned a lot since then, but I feel like I learn something new every day in this role. And, thinking back on when I first became a stepmom, oh my God, I will never forget the first time Craig asked me if I could pick up my stepson from his elementary school and take him to a doctor's appointment. I was like, are you sure this is okay? And Craig said, well, of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? You're going to be a stepmom soon. I trust you. It was those words. I trust you. Oh my God, here we go. I was so nervous. And now, not only was I picking him up, but after his appointment, we were going to have some time alone before Craig was back. Yikes. I was so nervous. Did I say that already? Nervous. I remember checking in at the school's front desk and waiting for someone to tell me that I shouldn't be there or that they couldn't release my stepson to me. But that didn't happen. They smiled and called his classroom for him to come out. He walked into the front office, totally cool, totally nonchalant, said, "Hey, Cammy G." By the way, that's what the kids call me, Cammy G. And yes, I love it. I think it's so cute. My whole life, I've been Cameron. No one has ever dared to call me Cammy, or they would be subject to a death stare. I've never gone by a nickname, but I have to tell you, I love when they call me Cammy G. Anyway, side note. He came in, he was like, "Hey, Cammy G," and he handed me a drawing that he had done in class that day. We got in the car, and honestly, I kept looking in the rearview mirror at this little person in my back seat, and I kept thinking, okay, if I go too fast, if I turn the wheel the wrong way, I've got to keep this little person safe. And you know what? That little person totally thought I knew what I was doing. I don't know how he couldn't see my panic, but he was totally fine. He looked at me like I'm just the adult that's there to take care of him. I had to keep reminding myself to act cool and not to let on to him that I was scared to death that I was going to do something wrong. I was so freaked out that day and so nervous. But you know what? I did it. We went to the doctor. I had brought the power of attorney form with me showing that I was legally allowed to get health care for him, which, as a side note, if you don't have that and you take kids to appointments, you might talk to your partner about signing one for you. Because remember, as stepmoms, we don't have any legal rights to care for these kids except for the rights that our partners grant us. It seems unfair, but that is the way it is. Nobody at the doctor's appointment asked for the form. They treated me like I totally belonged there, like I was some sort of parental person. And I was pretty much on edge the entire time, just waiting for something to happen that I couldn't handle, waiting for the other shoe to drop or some kind of emergency. But it didn't. We got through the appointment. I had a conversation with the doctor, and we got back in the car, and we spent a couple of hours together before Craig came home, and it was fine. And I actually gained a little bit of confidence that day in my abilities and the fact that I could maybe take this on. Now, mind you, it still didn't totally sink in. I mean, honestly, the whole stepmom thing didn't really sink in until well after Craig and I were married. Even our wedding weekend, it felt like we had all these kids there and it was really fun, but it still sort of felt like they weren't my family yet. They just were these kids that we were hanging around. Now, of course, since then, that has changed and they are very much a part of my family. We've had lots of ups and downs. We've had fights. I have heard "you're not my mom" more times than I'd like to admit. And, I've cried myself to sleep. I've had moments that I am really embarrassed about where my reactions have not always been so calm or rational, sometimes not even that nice. So, whatever you're feeling on your journey, I want you to know that you are not alone here. And I'm going to repeat that because I think sometimes as stepmothers, it feels like we are really alone, right? Like no one else can understand what we're going through. So I'm going to repeat that. You are not alone. So now let's chat a little bit about a couple of pieces of stepmomming. These are sort of abstract and they're not always the first things that you think of when you're, making the decision to take on this role, to get into a relationship with someone with kids and whatever. Um, but I want you to maybe think about these things. The first is you always, always need to acknowledge and accept your feelings, whatever they are. And I know that that may sound a little woo woo, but I'm serious. Think about it a little bit. Are you angry or disappointed that maybe this isn't what you thought life with your spouse was going to be like? That perhaps you never got a real honeymoon period, but instead you got home from the wedding and you got thrown directly into the deep end of the pool with no one there to teach you how to swim? Totally understand. And you should embrace those feelings. Are you happy? Happy with your husband or wife and how things are going? happy with your stepkids and your relationship with them? If you are, that is amazing. And you should own that and celebrate it. Do you feel let down that maybe your stepkids haven't fully accepted you, um, don't like you, or don't respect you, or that your partner's ex still judges you? That's okay. Totally normal. Are you like I was at that doctor's appointment? Just kind of always waiting for the next shoe to drop or something that you can't handle to come along. Guess what? Embrace that feeling too. But I want you to know you can handle whatever is thrown your way. Is it going to be easy? Heck no. In a million years, I never thought that I could deal with some of the things that I have as a stepmom. Frankly, in a million years, I never knew that some of these problems existed until I became a stepmom. It is going to be complicated. It's going to be awkward sometimes. Sometimes it's going to be a little crazy. Sometimes it's going to be super crazy. But there are also going to be times when you look at your stepkids and you think, how lucky am I that these little people came into my life? I know for me, my stepkids gave me the chance to see the world through kids' eyes. I wouldn't have had that chance otherwise. And I so appreciate it. And I so love them for that. We have crazy times. We do, like real crazy. And sometimes, just when it feels like things are all falling into place, the world blows up again. This is kind of a long way of saying that stepmomming really does have all the feels. Am I right? But, you really need to acknowledge those feels. And it's only when you're able to acknowledge them and embrace them that you can start to process them, right? So if you're angry, greet that anger. Try to figure out where it's coming from. Then you can address it and try to solve the underlying problem. If you're depressed or you're having some anxiety, embrace those feelings. Then start doing the work to get at the root of what's causing them. Anyway, I don't know if you like to journal or if you ever have, but for me, that's always been a great way to sort myself out. There are really so many emotions that go along with step parenting: good, bad, ugly, truly monstrous. Am I right? And writing all that down can help you get perspective those times when you really need it. The other thing, so moving on to the number two on all this, it may not come super naturally to you, but you've got to take care of yourself. And girl, I know that is hard, especially when you first get into all this. You get so wrapped up in your family and making sure everyone else is taken care of that you totally forget about yourself. I know my first Christmas, I got so wrapped up in, presents and gifts and meals and what we were going to do to celebrate and how I was going to make sure the family was taken care of, that I totally forgot about myself and I made myself sick after the holidays. When you ignore your needs, your body really does take it out on you and kind of reminds you to come back to earth. I've always had a bad back. I've had surgery on it and I always need to watch how I'm treating myself. But when I'm busy, taking care of myself is the first thing that goes. I've had several times since I embarked on this stepmom journey where I have thrown out my back simply because I'm not taking care of myself. When you're stressed, when you're anxious, when you're at your wit's end, when your body is feeling all of that tension, it will tell you that you need to stop and take care of yourself. And I know all this. I know that I need to take care of myself, and I still really have to work at it. Don't get me wrong. There are definitely aspects of taking care of myself that are very easy for me. When we're on vacation, I am the first in line at the spa for a massage or a facial. I love going to the spa. Craig jokes that I should be a spa reviewer because I have gone to so many in different places around the world. And honestly, now that I think about it, maybe it's not a bad gig. Maybe I'll have to think about that for my second or third career. But seriously, self-care and, making sure that your needs are met is so much more than just hitting up the spa on vacation. I am working on an episode that's going to be coming to you soon that is focused just on self-care. But in the meantime, here are a couple of things that you can do. I really encourage you to set some boundaries. If you were used to having some alone time before you gained this new family, and recall, this is the gal who was an only child who had lived alone for 10 years, right? Talk to your partner about setting aside some time for yourself. I don't mean that you need to ask them permission to have some alone time. It's a partnership. It is a marriage. I'm saying let them know your needs. Explain to them that, you're not going to be good for them or anyone else if you don't have a little quiet time to yourself. And on that note, try and build in some time every day for yourself. Yes, I said every day. I know. How in the world can you fit that in? Honestly, life is so crazy. And look, I don't mean go for a daily massage, although honestly, that sounds like heaven. If I could do that, I really would. But I mean, just build in a morning routine or a nighttime routine that includes some time where you can kind of take a pause, take a breath, settle down a little bit. Maybe it's taking a walk every day. Maybe it's writing in a journal. Maybe it's, having a gratitude journal that you just write down a couple of things. Maybe it's taking a bath. Whatever that looks like, even if it's only 10 or 15 minutes a day, try to fit it in. It is hard to do that, I will tell you. That's something I have to really work at, and I am not always great at doing it. But I am conscious about it, and I do work towards it. And I've asked my husband to help me stay accountable to do that. And he'll ask me, every few days, have you gotten some time for yourself? Are you taking care of yourself? And so if you can kind of get your partner or your spouse's buy-in and, encourage them to work with you to take care of yourself, that'll really help. And look, stepmomming is one of the hardest roles out there. Research has shown that stepmoms have a harder time than stepdads do. That may not come as a surprise to you, but there's actual research that bears that out. Research also shows that stepmoms have a higher incidence of anxiety and depression than even biological mothers. You're probably nodding your head at that, but for real, while you're trying to hold your family together, tiptoe around the ex's feelings or your spouse's feelings or your stepkid's feelings, you're probably neglecting your own. So can I just ask you to not neglect your feelings and to do your best every day to try to fit in some time where you can be conscious of your feelings and conscious of yourself and really just take care of your needs. So let's recap a bit. You are not alone. I'm going to repeat because I just keep repeating this. You are not alone. And you are strong for taking this on. And you are selfless for doing this for the person that you love. You are strong, you are selfless, and you are not alone. Also, you can do this. I really hope that you'll give yourself some credit. Be secure in your abilities. Give yourself credit and give yourself some grace and show yourself a little bit of kindness. Take care of yourself. Your needs are just as important as your family's. And if you don't want to think about it that way, think about it that, you are no good to your family, to your partner, to their kids, or anyone else if you are neglecting your needs. So stick with me. We have got a lot of episodes coming up that are going to help you navigate this tricky world that you're in. And make sure you've subscribed to the Stepmom Diaries so that you will get every single episode right when it comes out. Don't forget to share this with other stepmamas you may know, no matter what our situation is. And they are all unique and different and special and challenging and all of those other words. No matter what our situation is, we all have a special bond. And you know what? We need to stick together. That's it for this week. If you've enjoyed our chat, I hope you'll help spread the word. Share this episode with friends and head on over to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave me a review. And don't forget, for more great stepmom content, visit thiscustomlife.com and follow me on social media. Just search This Custom Life on your favorite platform. Until next time, you keep being you and know that we are in this together. See you here next week.